What's up, you guys? The Doc is Hope here, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be taking you guys again behind the scenes. I'm going to be making my 16-year-old son's bomber jacket. Let me grab my fabric. Hold on. Okay. So again, I have this camo, black, white, and gray camo fabric. It's like I think it's a cotton. And then the lining. Now it snowed here over the weekend in Atlanta, which it doesn't snow often, but it did. And so now it's like 20, 30, 40 degrees outside every day. So I figured I should go ahead and make this coat for him now because he'll want to wear it because it's just that cold right now. It won't be cold past, I don't know, maybe March, April. So now is the time. So again, I have this lining. It's very thick, very quilted, and it's going to keep him warm. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, and I also have my notions. I did buy, let's see, a 24-inch separating zipper in gold. I thought that would be really nice on the black as a contrast. And then this jacket also has 2 side pockets. So I got just 2 of these 7-inch black, all black zippers for the side pockets, because they don't need to be anything flashy or fancy, right? So 2 of those. All right, so I'm gonna get my fabric laid out. Well, first I'm gonna iron it, get it all laid out, and then I'm going to start cutting my pattern pieces. So I'll be back. All right, you guys, sorry. So I got my fabric ironed, laid out right sides together, and I'm gonna go ahead and start pinning my pattern pieces. Now, thankfully, I have sewn this bomber jacket twice before, so I already have it cut out. That to me is a win because that means I don't have to spend time on cutting out pattern pieces. It's already done, which is rare for me. So I am making, let's see, making view A in a size large, and all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get that laid out, guys. Uh-oh, I lost my shoe. So then I'm going to do my, maybe I'll use red this time. That might be cool. Fabric marking pens, which erase when it's heated. So before I mark on anything, of course, I always take one of my little scrap pieces of fabric, like this, and write on it both sides. I just started this pen, so I'm gonna kind of get it going. So as you can see, that red mark there and on the right side, and I'm just gonna test it with my iron just to make sure that as I'm sewing this, I don't mess anything up with any permanent marks. So there you go, no marks. Bam, we're good to go. Go with our notches and our circles on our fashion fabric. Next, I'm gonna cut my lining and I'll be back. Okay, you guys, so I have my lining fabric laid out right sides together. I have literally never sewn with anything this thick, so I'm very excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my pattern pieces laid out and cut out my lining. So I am ready to sew. I'm gonna go ahead and get my instructions out and go ahead and start with, I believe it's always the front first with the pockets and the zippers. So let me get that going. All right guys, so we're gonna jump right on into it. Again, starting with the front and pockets. And this is what I was talking about. They actually want me to mark on the front of this so that I can line my pockets up. So I thought that that was what was gonna happen. I probably should have read ahead just to double check, but it's all good. It won't take but a second for me to flip that and then put my markings on the other side. Let's just make sure that that red is going to show up, and it is. glad we already tested this to make sure that it was actually erasable. So I feel good about it. I feel good. All right, let me get my small ruler. Where's my small ruler? Ah, here we go. And let's see. Go ahead and redo those stitching lines. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on my other front piece. We're back, so let's continue. So on right sides, got armholes, center front. I'm gonna go ahead and start with, let's see, my pockets. Oh, okay, hold on. Got a lot of stuff here. All right. Now, my prayer is that I don't have any issues tucking these through. And you'll know what I'm talking about in a second. So, again, let me get the orientation right here. So I just like to stick a pin in and match it up. Just to make sure that I am lining these up right here. And then do the same thing down below. Because it's easy to get off track and then you got stuff looking funny. So that way you know exactly where those pockets should be lined up on the front here. Like that. So now that I've got that done, I'm actually going to pin. Let's see, where am I stitching? I'm stitching along the stitching line, so I'm just going to kind of pin around that just to keep this nice and secure and keep my pockets in place. All right, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and sew that, pivoting, and then I'll be back. So I have I'm gonna move my lamp back so I can have more light. I had to move it while I was cutting my fabric. So I have just sewn my pockets onto the front. And I'm gonna take those pins out. I'm going to trim off any threads. Threads are gone. I'm just going to check for symmetry, because if I'm going to do it over, I'm going to do it over now. All right, symmetry looks good. So I'm going to actually use my rotary cutter for this. I find that it works very well. So I'm literally going to go on the opposite side and right down the center, apply some pressure, and roll that baby on down till I meet those triangular parts. And so you see there's a slit now in the pocket. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. get my scissors and I'm gonna snip diagonally into the corners just to those circles. It's kind of scary, right? But I've done it before, so I know what it looks like, so that's the good thing. I'm just being careful not to snip through my threads. Cut off those threads. Okay. And then I'm gonna snip into the corners on the other side. Okay. Again, trim off these extra threads so that we're working very neatly. And I will get to my rib knit sections later. I actually forgot. And so, you know, it's not a big deal for me to go back and cut those out when it's time. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so I'm going to turn my pockets to the inside, which is why I said I hope that the lining turns in, because I'm literally taking that whole piece of pocket and turning it so that at the end we're going to have this as the front with the pocket of the coat, and we're going to have the lining on the inside like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get both of those turned inside. And then I'm just going to press literally right there at the seam. So you see how nicely that lays once it's pressed? That pocket lays really nicely. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and move on, press my second one. So again, how nicely that lays once it's pressed. All right, so that part we are done. I'm done with. Okay, let me get my pencil so I can check off where I am. Center close, zipper face up. So let me grab my 2 smaller zippers. And you guys, I haven't done a zipper in a little while. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna be taking this pretty slowly at the machine just to make sure that I get these zippers on point. Because they need to be on point, right? Actually, even better, I think I'm gonna pin it from the front. That way I can see exactly what's what here with my lineup. So I haven't done that before, but I will do it today. So let me go ahead and make sure it's zipped up. I want my zipper right there at the beginning, and I definitely want it centered, so I'm just kind of checking for that. Get it centered and get it right on. That looks good. And I'm going to pin this from the front to keep the symmetry and make sure that I get the look that I want when I base this. And I'm also gonna check my spacing because I have had issues with the zipper spacing, not necessarily the pocket zippers, but the zippers on the front. I have had some issues with the spacing. So I'm gonna check to make sure that my zipper pulls up and down easily, because I have had issues in the past with the zipper the zipper teeth being so close to the fabric that the zipper doesn't want to operate. So definitely don't want to have that issue. So I'm just gonna check, and that's working just fine. All right, so I like how that looks from the front, which is very important. I'm just gonna secure that at the bottom as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and line that up the same way on the other side. Basting before sewing, that to me is everything to just keep control of the construction of your garment. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my basting thread, needle. That's my iron. It's telling me hello, or telling me rather that it's shutting off. I'm glad to have an iron that's smart like that, because I have left it on before and come back and it's like, oh, I'm glad you shut yourself down. With that, let's see, I'll show you guys. Pockets with zippers in place, basted but not yet stitched. Zippers in place. All right. So I think that's coming together nicely. I'm gonna go eat lunch, and then I'll be back to do the next part of the pattern instructions. Okay, you guys, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and edge stitch along my basting using a zipper foot, and then I'm going to top stitch 3/8 of an inch away on the upper front and lower edges, and then I'll be back. All right, y'all. So these side zippers, pocket zippers, gave me a time and a half, okay? I had to rip some seams, redo some seams, even though I basted. So, yeah. I think I need to do zippers more often. Like, I think I want to implement like installing one zipper a week just to keep it fresh. But anyway, I did go ahead and put my zippers in for my pockets, and it turned out really well. I'm just snipping these little threads that are here, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like. Okay. So basically this is what we're dealing with. Got a few extra threads, but pockets are in. I did the 3/8 inch top stitching also. So that's done. And again, I just like to double check because like I said, I've had issues with my zippers in the past. So yes, nice and smooth zipper, nice and smooth on both sides. So I feel good about it. I think to me that is the hardest part of the entire pattern. This part, and then making sure that your center zipper is lined up with your bottom tabs, but we'll get there. Right sides together, pin remaining pocket section to pocket, stitch outer curved edges together, keeping front free. So I'm going to flip these over and right sides together, stitch on pocket number 2, which is another lining. And I'm going to go to the sewing machine, 5/8 of an inch. These look like oven mittens. And I'm going to stitch my pocket sides together and I'll be back. Okay, so I have sewn my pocket sides together, and as you can see, well, you will see inside is that quilted pocket. These things are so thick, you guys, but I think it's going to be really great. I'm going to trim my seam allowance, and then I'm going to go ahead and do that top stitching, and I'll be back. Okay, so I will be stitching the shoulder edges of the back. So let me put my front pieces away for now and grab my back piece, which is here. Remember that was cut on fold, so it's just one nice piece. So I'm going to E-stitch, wait, no, that's not right. Yes, it is right. E-stitch my shoulder edges between triangles and notches. So let's see, triangles and notches, there we go. Okay, and I'm gonna come from the outside inward. So I'm gonna E-stitch and then I'll come right back. E-stitching is done. Now I am going to pin the back to front at shoulders and sides. Again, if you know me, you know that this is one of my favorite steps because like I said, when it comes to pinning the front to the back, that means that you've done everything you need to do on the front, whether it be pleats, darts, pockets, whatever. And now this means that we're making some real progress. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my front pieces that I just put off to the side. I've got threads on them for some reason. It just seems like thread just does not like to go away. Okay, so we're pinning these at the shoulder and the sides and adjusting. That's why we did that stitching, just in case I need to adjust those shoulders. So I'm going to go ahead and pin everything. For the sake of trying this on, but he's not here. Maybe I'll try it on. You know, teenage boys normally like to wear their clothes a little more loose fitting. And then with the thickness of the lining, I did make a larger size. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this, if my knot will stay. I'm gonna go ahead and get this basted, and then I'll try it on. Now's the time to take it in. All right. So it's nice. It's nice and it fits, but it's not like tight. And then once I put my lining in, of course we're gonna have 5/8 inch for the zipper. Yeah, I think once I put my lining in, it's gonna be a nice, comfortable size. So I have sewn my seams together, shoulder seams and my side seams. I'm gonna go ahead and iron those. All right, you guys, so I went ahead and ironed my seams. Now I am going to stay stitch the neck edge of this jacket. And then I'm gonna start with my rib knit. So I need to find my rib knit. I have some from a while ago. So I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna stay stitch the neck edge and then I will be back. All right, you guys, I'm back. So I cut out my rib knit sections. This is, I don't know if this is even rib knit, but it's a thick knit stretch material that I think will work well for what it's going to be used for. So I'm going to be using that. All right, so let's see, they want me to open out, let's see, what are we doing? Wrong sides together, fold the neckband along the fold line, which I didn't snip, so let me snip that. Just so that I know exactly where my fold line is supposed to be on both sides. Okay, so get these pins out of here. And this is my right side, so I'm doing wrong sides together. I'm just gonna press really close to the folded edge, making sure that I don't press over my markings. So I literally just press the edge flat. All right. So that's pinned. So now I'm going to pin the neckband to the neck edge of the jacket. And baste my collar onto the upper neck edge of the jacket, and then I'm going to move on to a sleeve. Also, I'm done with basting, so I'm going to take my pins out. So again, I'm going to set this, well, I'm actually going to put it on my mannequin. Oh, that's gonna be cute. Okay. Moving on to my sleeves. Bam. And so E-stitch upper edge, and then I'm going to stitch the sleeve seam. So I'm gonna do those two things and then I'll be back. Sleeve hems are done. I'm going to go ahead and iron those. Now, rib knit section 12, which is, I believe these are my cuffs, sleeve cuffs. Yep, sleeve band. Take these pins out. So right side's facing, which So I'm gonna stitch that and then I'll be back. So I went ahead and sewed together my sleeve bands. I'm just gonna press those seams. And I am going to trim my seam allowance down just so that it's not bulky once I turn these out. Fold sleeve band along fold line and press. So basically I'm folding it in half, but I do still have notches and things like that that I need to match, as well as the seam. So I'm just gonna kind of roughly match those up. Okay, so clearly I'm going to have to do some gathering because that's going to be huge. Okay, I'm going to run 2 rows of gathering stitches along the bottom of this sleeve so that I can gather it and then put these, because look at that. I could stretch it, but I don't want to compromise the tightness of the cuff. So I'm going to do 2 rows of gathering stitches and then I'll be back. So I have my 2 rows of gathering stitches here, which will help me. It didn't say that in the instructions, but I don't know how else I would really feasibly fit those sleeves cuffs on here. So I'm just going to start to gather a little bit. See how much smaller that is? Look at that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and find my notch on my sleeve right here. And I'm gonna start by matching that with the notch on the cuff. So let me go ahead and slip that over. Folding going on. So there, I pinned cuff 1. So now I'm going to go ahead and gather pin cuff 2. So I'm going to stitch that and then a 1/4 inch in the seam allowance, and then I'll come back. Okay, I can tell I'm tired. And I'm glad I caught it after my first side and first row of stitching. I have put my cuffs on the wrong side. They're supposed to be on right side of fabric. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to redo that because, yeah, seam allowance is on the right side. Okay, so I'm gonna redo that and then I'll be back. All right, you guys. So I have corrected my sleeve. Cuffs are on the right side. thank God. I'm gonna take these over to the ironing board using my seam roll. I'm gonna press my seams and then I'll be back. Press my seams. Now guys, is the part where I attach the sleeves to the bodice of this jacket. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin my other sleeve in, sew that, and then 1/2 inch into the seam allowance, sew another row of stitches, and that will complete the outside of the jacket. I'll have to do the bottom band with the tabs, the zipper, and then my lining. So I will pick up there next week and show you guys the finished product and the finishing steps of this jacket. So again, if you like this video so far, give me a thumbs up down below. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can catch the rest of this video and we can continue to hang out together. All right, guys, until next week, I'll see you later.